Are you looking for a new job in this post-pandemic job market and you're not sure where to start? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to share with you some skills that you're going to need to get on your resume if you want to be taken seriously. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to share with you some skills that you really ought to think about getting on your resume if they're not on there already. And as a corporate recruiter and a career coach with over 20 years of experience interviewing and hiring thousands of people into some of the world's largest and most well-known companies, I've written my fair share of resumes and I've seen countless more. So I know a thing or two about how to write a resume that's going to give you the best chance of getting noticed and getting into that interviewing process, because that's ultimately what the resume is for. Now, if you're somebody that's applying to job after job and assuming that you're reasonably qualified for the positions that you're interviewing for, if you're not getting any interest on your resume, in other words, you're not getting any interviews, it's almost always a resume issue. And as we've navigated through the past couple of years of the job market, things are drastically changing in how we need to present ourselves as candidates and what companies are looking for. So it's worth dusting off the resume and taking a long, hard look about how well it actually sells you in the application process. If you're somebody that hasn't written your resume in the last year, it's almost certainly going to be out of date. So the purpose of this video is to give you a baseline for what employers are looking for on the open market. And these are going to be universal skills that you should have regardless of the type of position that you're looking for. Now, it's worth mentioning that simply writing these terms into your resume as a quote unquote keyword is not going to be enough. We need to ensure that we've demonstrated these core competencies to truly stand out from the competition. So without further ado, let's get into some of the skills that you should really consider having on your resume. The first skill worth mentioning is adaptability. And if you survive this incredible job market from 2020 till current, you know how adaptable you have needed to be in order to stay afloat. Think about how you've had to adapt and evolve in how you approach work. And if you can show that in your resume, that'll be an incredibly powerful indicator to the employer that you can adapt with the times. And let's take remote work as an example. A lot of us were used to going into an office every day, and suddenly, and seemingly overnight, we had to shift to becoming remote workers. And if you were somebody that didn't work remote normally, there's definitely a change in the way that you need to approach your work, specifically around communication, which is pretty obvious, but also around the networking and teamwork. If you've never used a technology like Zoom or MS Teams before, surely at this point you have. So those would be great skills to get on your resume to show that you're not only adaptable, but that you can also thrive in a new way that we approach work. Which leads us right into the next one, who is technical skills. Now, the state of the industry or the job type that you work in is going to necessitate which skills you need to have on your resume. If you're a software developer and you're working with an older programming language, you should understand where the industry has moved and keep your skills up to date accordingly, because it simply doesn't behoove you to have an older technology listed on your resume if nobody uses it anymore. If you're somebody that has stayed in a job for a long period of time, make sure you're keeping up to date on what other employers are asking for in the market, so that if you do find yourself looking for a new job, you're not way behind the 8 ball. All right, so the next skill you really need to have on your resume in today's day and age is analytics. In nearly every job that I recruit, data analytics are one of the most common skills that come up from hiring managers. Our jobs are all dictated by metrics that we have to fill, and the ability to take complex sets of data and be able to tell a story with them is crucially important. So if you're wondering what kind of data needs to be interpreted in your job, think in terms of how you're measured in your performance appraisals. So if you're driving a forklift, maybe it's the amount of loads physically moved in a given period of time. Or if you're a recruiter, we have days to fill metrics. Just about every position in the workforce is governed by some level of data, and you need to be able to interpret that. So make sure you show that skill on your resume. The next major skill to consider is problem-solving skills. Now, be careful with this one because people tend to list this in their skill sets, and it usually comes across as being pretty fluffy. But what we want to do is try to attach an actual accomplishment to our problem solving. So demonstrate the problem solving in your resume if possible. Think about times where you didn't have a playbook to follow, where you had to kind of create your own solutions. Those are the things that employers are looking for, and those skills are in high demand. So on your resume, instead of just saying that you were a problem solver, try to actually show us when you problem solved. If you could link it to a measurable result using data analytics, even better. The next major skill that you need to be able to show is collaboration or teamwork. And as we look at how we approach our jobs nowadays, it's a much more global environment. It's not uncommon for people to be working cross-culturally, cross-continent, cross-time zone, and across department in order to get something done. And I don't think there's any job out there that doesn't rely on some level of teamwork and collaboration to be successful. So try to show where you were a good team player and how you got other departments or other cross-functional teams involved in your problem-solving skills. The next major skill that you need to have on your resume is accountability. A very common thing that I hear in my interviews is people using the I and the me. So if you can show in your resume the aspects of your job that you completely own and take accountability for, that will go a long way towards satisfying an employer's curiosity. But be sure to link how you did the work and not necessarily your team. The next skill that you really need to have on your resume is being a self-starter. Show that you've taken the initiative to learn a new skill without being prompted to, or come up with a new business case or project that makes your work life easier. And if you could show your willingness to take on new tasks and maybe find things to fix that weren't even broken to begin with, it's going to show that you're a self-starter in the eyes of the employer. But ideally on your resume, you want to try to capture how you have identified and acted on opportunities to improve quality, productivity, or minimize risks. The next skill that you want to try to have on your resume is productivity. It seems like in this day and age of data analytics, one of the most important metrics is productivity, how much work you put out. If you can show that you've improved productivity and that you're a very productive worker, it's going to reflect well on you, especially if you can get that on your resume in a clear and concise way. So think in terms of improving speed or getting things done quickly. And ideally, if we can work under high pressure, even better. The next major skill that you want to have on your resume is a growth mindset, because hiring managers love it when an employee shows a motivation for continuous improvement. So if you're somebody that has gone back to school to enrich your skills, maybe gotten a certification that wasn't part of your job, or shows that you're looking to better yourself as an employee, that is something that you would absolutely want to have on your resume. And if you're somebody that's been out of the workforce for a while, it's important to show employers that you have the ability to learn those new skills. So on your resume, make sure you show us how you went out and captured those new skills. And the last skill that I want to talk about is your ability to convey your thoughts in a very concise manner. When you think about it, your resume is the first impression that you make on the employer. And if they see that you have listed out every single thing on your resume and you seem to have scattered thoughts, what impression do you think that's going to make on the employer? But not only that, a poorly optimized resume is also going to make it much harder for you to get noticed by the recruiter for that first round interview. So the ability to convey your message in a very concise manner on your resume is a crucial skill that you need to have. Think about it in terms of passive versus active voice. We want to make sure that we are telling the story in as few words as possible. It does take some skill, and honestly, it's worth sometimes having a second set of eyes on it. But that's a crucial skill that you need to have if you want to increase your chances of getting that first round phone call. And if you're somebody that is struggling with this, I actually do have some resources that you should check out. The first one is called Resume Rocketfuel. It is designed to teach you exactly how to write your resume that will give you the best chance of getting noticed by that recruiter. But not only that, it also teaches you how to use your resume strategically. And that's the most important part of it. It also includes some templates. So if you're stuck and just don't know where to get started, I highly suggest you check out Resume Rocketfuel. You can also check out my website. It's lifeafterlayoff.com. It's loaded with tips and tricks, all from an insider's perspective. And I also have some tools for you to be able to sell yourself throughout the rest of the interviewing process through another course called the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp. Highly encourage you to check those out. Hey, if you found value in this video, I sure would appreciate a thumbs up and maybe hit that subscribe button, because the YouTube algorithm really does favor that engagement. And in supporting this channel, it helps me continue to bring you all this great content. Appreciate you watching. Happy resume writing, and we will see you on the next one.